Welcome to the Berks Homes podcast. We are in the business of building homes. I'm Stephanie O'Hara. I'm the COO with Berks Homes. And today I am joined with some of the long tenured team of the Berks Sales and Marketing Organization. And what we're going to kind of talk about today, and I want to get your guys' feedback, is at the beginning of the year, we introduced this locked-in mindset. And that was lead, own, commit, and keep going. And it was something new for the organization. And so we're at the midpoint of the year. We've been kind of foster this mindset throughout these first 6 months. And so I want to know, how you felt about when we launched this at the beginning of the year. So let's kind of start with a little bit of what did it mean to you when we decided to roll out this plan?
I remember seeing the locked in, the marketing spin on it. And I normally with things like that, I could tend to be a little, not negative, but just okay, but I actually thought it was pretty cool. Man, I think about locked in is something I love sports. I played sports growing up. I always think about I was locked in that day. If I had a good day on the field, right? And I think when I'm having a day where I feel like I'm maybe not doing everything that we can be doing to get sales, I think okay, I'm not locked in, dude. Let's reset. Let's figure out a way to get on that path. And I a lot of times I draw things back to sports, and I think about that mindset of trying to find that peak performance. That's why I liked it.
First off, that event was great. I was pumped. I was motivated. Going into it, I didn't know what to expect. And growing up playing sports, I'm not your typical raw person who's going to start yelling and get the fans going. I'm just normally, you folks know this, but I'm just going to be even keeled throughout and just perform. That's always been my mindset, but that was an awesome event and I was motivated and pumped. And I also feel like being in sales, we don't really necessarily need that motivation, which we do at times, but even more so, it kind of got me inspired to go above and beyond. I'm not one who is looking for inspiration somewhere, but that was awesome. So great job to you guys.
Thank you.
I think the locked in for me personally, since I'm in marketing, I just think it's kind of pretty cool that we made it into, instead of just focusing on sales, the story, and really figuring out kind of the customer's story behind why they want to build a new home. And I mean, I've seen it in all of our agents, our team, our mental state has been a lot kind of better towards that. And I think people enjoy kind of selling more and doing marketing more. I think it just really is a good type of subject for all of us to kind of focus on.
Okay. I agree with Jason. That was a great event and you left pumped and ready to tackle the year. For me, I think I did stuff the same. For me, I tried to watch my mindset. I do tend to go negative, and negative is dangerous. So I really try to watch what I say around my coworkers. I try to curb it. And sometimes I just need to vet 5 minutes, write it down, scream, whatever, and then step back into reality and do my job.
So one of the reasons that the sales leadership prior to having that event last year and why we really felt like locked in was the time to put this into place was because we knew the market's getting harder and harder, right? And you guys have been selling for years and you've been in the industry for a very long time. We knew the writing was on the wall, right? And felt like there was a need to keep us connected at a certain level throughout the year because, as you said, it's going to get tough and it's not like what it has been for the last couple years. And we have to go about things very different than we did, COVID, post-COVID and the heyday. And so it's interesting for you guys because you've been through different seasons of selling before, right? And so we had this feel that this was going to keep us connected as a team through the ups and downs. Do you resonate with that?
Agree. I feel like marketing and sales is a lot more aligned and we have the same type of vision now. I feel like, I always kind of knew you guys, but I feel like I know you guys better now. I'm able to help out more now. I feel like it was kind of separated for a while. So I feel like we're all kind of, together as a team now.
Yeah, I would say with the locked in message too, it's kind of you have unbelievable real estate markets where you just keep raising prices, right? And then eventually you're too high. Right? And then you have markets that are steady and good and you wait for them to turn and you have, it'll come. And I think the locked in is like, hey, that might not happen.
Right.
You have to find it. You have to do everything in your power to get to that spot. And it might be tinkering with prices. It might be trying marketing and advertising that we've never done before. But I think the locked in mindset is constantly thinking of what it will take to find those markets. And that's especially now for me with being more in the strategy of sales. So that's where I feel like it's changed a lot. 9 years, it's just it'll get busy. It's just slow, it'll get busy. You wait for it and it comes, and it might not just happen. Like, you might have to find it.
For me, locked in is resiliency and consistency through the highs and the lows,
Yep.
especially at this time of year.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's easy to be motivated in January and after an event like that, right? But now, for me personally, it's been a challenging June. But I think a month like June, like that's where it kind of defines what kind of rep you are in a way. When it's slow, when it's deflating, like you said, Matt, just getting creative and finding a way to continue pressing on. That's where locked in really comes to light.
Right.
And what you're doing then.
Well, it ties back to what you were saying. Like, if you get yourself spun up in, oh, it's a slow month, I'm not getting any traffic, nothing's coming, and you can't keep that right mindset, does our productivity slow down, right? Because the mindset isn't there. But if we go back to the pillars of locked in, and if you're leading and you're owning and you commit, I think the big one is to keep going, right? We're in a time right now in June where everybody's like, whew, it's that summer month, right? Summer selling. But the piece of keep going, I think the other piece that leads into this too is I think as a company, we do a really, really good job of being innovative, right? And how to navigate some of the challenging times. So this is another way to keep some of our, what I want to say is Berks uniqueness in our innovation and tie it back into our mindset. Do you guys agree with that?
Absolutely.
I think, Deb, like you think about our April or May as a company, we did so well and you were frustrating. And then you look like you carried the water in June, right?
Right.
And I think that's that. Like, stay locked in. My time's coming.
Yes.
Right.
And keep doing the things. And a lot of times, especially with my community of Nittany Glen, if I'm slow, one of our other communities is doing well. So we kind of take turns that way. Even though I had a great June, I was still locked in. It's 9:00 at night. I'm tired. I had to be consistent. I told buyers I would get back to them. So I'm tired. My eyes were sleepy, but I kept going. And that's one of the things. You just have to get through it, right? Like, tomorrow's another day, but no, if you said you're going to do something, you have to stick to it and continue and
commit.
Well, don't you think we're committed more to our teammates through some of what we've been going in with locked in? I mean, I guess what I look at is you just said it, right? Like, there's seasonality and there's times where some salesperson in your region is doing great and then you're not, right? And how we pick each other up throughout those ups and downs, how we leverage, the home office and the marketing team to help us strategize through some of those dips that we see. But I think starting the year with something like this, and maybe you just touched on a little bit earlier too, I feel like we're more connected as a team. And one other piece I see is like talking about being locked in and making sure that the customer experience is where we want it to be. I feel like it's also helped us be better communicators with our superintendents, right? Some other aspects of the business. Do you guys agree with that?
Yeah. You mentioned like the commitment to our teammates. I find, well, first off, like that's just the culture that Berks created, especially in a sales competitive environment. The way that we kind of lean on each other during the highs and lows is great to see and be a part of. I find what's helped me in those slower months, I've kind of done a reality check and would say, okay, stop making it about me. Let's see who I can reach out to on our team. And whether that energy has helped kind of generate more sales for myself or the team, I think just what I've gained out of that and just helping someone else succeed, or it's also, I think if anything, been more rewarding for me to be a part of that as opposed to that person actually getting more sales and succeeding
Certainly,
as well.
A little bit different level of fulfillment for you as a, I mean, I think, how do you feel about that? I think you probably, the way you can contribute now that you're more connected, does it give you more of a sense of fulfillment as a whole with the team?
Yeah. I mean, I kind of need to know what you guys do and like what you guys are struggling with for me to even help. Like it's a lot more. I feel like I didn't really fully know construction until I've been here for 9 years, until maybe like 3 or 4 to really dive deep and be like, okay, so this is what works, this is what doesn't, this is what people care about. Me being able to kind of help you guys with like social media and ads and just getting more leads helps me a lot more to really understand the full process because we really do storytelling here, not just a pretty picture of a home. So, like, for me to know more about your specific customer is going to help the advertising, is going to help more customers like that come in.
I think, like you said, it's like the locked in thing is it's pretty. It started with sales and marketing, but I think everyone knows about it to a point, and I think it can create a type of accountability on ourselves that kind of mirrors itself with everybody, right? So if, talking to a superintendent and you felt like you made a commitment to a customer, the superintendent understands what you're doing. It's not coming across as you're pushing a superintendent to do his job. We're trying to work together to make sure that the customer is getting the best experience possible.
I think locked in also we've been more intentional about our handoffs at different parts of the process. Not that when you get busy, you tend to lose some focus on that because you're just in the motion, right? But we've had some more time to really focus on what those customer experience touch points should be like and what those handoffs, should look like. And in an ideal, what do we want our customers to experience, right? So I feel like that's something I've seen evolve just over the last 6 months. And that's kudos to you guys for, putting the time and effort into making some of that work. If you had to give advice to a teammate right now that might be struggling with a mindset or with maybe trying to stay focused on being locked in, what's one thing you would recommend?
I recommend typically start your day, make your list, write down locked in so you see it in front of you. And like if you have a moment, go for a walk. If you need to reset, think outside the box, be consistent, put others, first. It's not about us, right? Of course, we all want to make sales and we want the money, but it's not about us. And that's hard sometimes in this industry, but just keep going. It will pay off. It might not be overnight, but if you do all the right things, you have to find out what works too, and then just keep going.
I think that's the initial. Is my mindset is always like lean on each other, and even for me, like I've been doing it for some time, but also there's so much that I can learn too. So I'm still calling Matt and other reps who, even if only been in the industry for a couple of years, right? There's always something that we can gain from each other. We all have bad days, right? Where we're just tired, just as human beings. Right. I think it's in those days, like I mentioned earlier, is what's going to define you as a sales rep and as an individual. There's just powering through and doing something that day. It may not feel like you're getting 1% better, but it's in those times where I have to kind of reflect on the gain as opposed to the gap and like look at what I did accomplish this week, this day, this month, right? Because it's so easy to focus on where I'm falling short and what I'm not doing.
Right.
But take that time to reflect on how much I've gotten done, but leaning on each other to help us realize that and see another perspective beyond our own.
You've always been that way too.
Yeah.
Since the day we started working together, which has only been 9 years.
Yeah.
But you'd call me.
Yeah.
What do you think about this? I'm like, dude, I don't know. It just started.
Yeah.
But always were that way.
Did that a couple days ago, called Matt. Yeah. Still to this day.
I think sometimes like it's just like an old saying that I don't know where I heard it. I think it's probably actually I think it may have been Andy Reid, but it's never as bad as you think, and you're never as good as you think, right? So when you sell 8 or 9 houses and everything went well, you may have had a perfect little pocket where we had to get rid of stuff or we needed sales, right? And everything kind of just fell into place. And if you're consistent, when it's really, really bad, it might feel like I'm never going to sell a house. What am I going to do to sell a house, right? And if you kind of keep that mindset of you're never as good as you think and never as bad as you think, you'll never really change your style, which I think sometimes when you need a sale, that a buyer can feel that, right? And then it comes across like now they're really desperate, right? And we never want that. So I think a lot of it is like just a mindset of just try and stay even keel. Like if you're the same person every day and you work hard every day, there's gonna be good days and bad days, but it's just like a law of averages type thing.
Absolutely.
Matt, you said something that I want to kind of dig into a little bit, is that I've heard consistent, right? And we want to be consistent, and we want to keep moving and want to keep the momentum. But we also, through the training that we've been going through and the time we're investing in our growth, right, we learned that we want to be the right builder for a customer at the right time, right? So where you guys are commission based and you want to make money and you want to make a sale, I think as a company, we do a really, really good job of listening to their story, right? And understanding where they're at. And there might be a time when it isn't the best time for this person, to move forward. But we keep going, right? We know that this is probably going to be a Berks sale eventually, right? And we're navigating that. I think that's such a huge differentiator for us, and that goes back to who Berks is, right? Helpful, humble, aware, and driven. We want to sell houses, but we also want to sell houses to the people that can afford them and set them up for success, going forward. Does that resonate with you? That's part of why we do our follow-up, and that's all the things that we tie to our processes is making that connection up front, knowing that they want this, but this might not be the time. And then how do we nurture that relationship?
Yeah. I think especially now being in On Your Land, it's becoming more and more real, right? Because it's such a long process. It may not be the right time. It may be 5-10 years from now, maybe the right time for them to build. But we also, all of us know firsthand, we're not going to sell every single person, right? And we just may not be the right builder. So whether it's not the right time for them or it's just not the right home, I think one of the responses that I've always told folks is thank you for your time and considering us. And I wish you folks the best. And I think whether we're not the right fit or the right time, it's that relationship can just go a long way.
Yeah.
In so many ways.
We're in the relationship business.
Yeah, for sure.
That is our differentiator. I mean, we talk about this a lot when we're doing training. Everybody knows who we are before they walk through the door, right? What they don't know is who you guys are, right? So part of the locked in piece of that is getting them to trust us as, the sales arm of the business. It's kind of a big shoulder to bear for you guys sometimes, right? Being that first, line of defense. Has the locked in mindset help you guys with any of that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that sometimes it's, I think when if I'm making a pitch to you about something we should do, I feel like you have to have that moment of all right, this has to work. So you have that moment last second in your head running it through, all right, ready, locked in. I think same thing. See someone walking up to your model, right? You got to get in that mindset, right? So before you smile, there's probably a moment of a breath or something like that, So I think that the locked in is it's probably just that keep going aspect of getting that door every time someone comes to your mind.
Yeah.
Really trying to create that from the moment they see you.
Yeah. I think for me, I've been focusing more on intentionality and thoughtfulness, right? Because it's so easy to go through the motions of the meet and greet or just the whole process, right? You can easily get into a routine of things, right? But again, being storytellers, right? So trying to have their best interests and pivoting and getting more creative and having more thought and intention behind each question, each interaction, each follow-up, I think will just help us be better.
Okay.
As individuals and as a company.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's listening. A lot of times I would be thinking about the next question I'm going to ask the buyers, not getting their story. So I'm trying to be more intentional with that and really pay attention, not thinking of the next question, or they say, they want to rant. Oh, well, I have a primary on the first floor. No, kind of find out what their story is. And so I'm trying to learn and grow and be better. Active listening. Yeah. It's hard sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Because it's
I catch myself all the time.
It's not naturally in our sales DNA to actively listen, but the best salespeople do it.
So I'm going to start with you, Brandon. What does locking in mean to you at this stage of your career?
The next kind of level for me in my career, which is I thought I would just kind of be the video photo guy, but I've kind of evolved into the marketing and advertising aspect. And I mean, I've taken over all of our Facebook and Instagram ads now, lowered our cost per lead in like half. We're getting kind of more quality people. So it's pretty cool and I really enjoy it. Like I never thought I would.
Mm-hmm.
Like numbers and analytics and doing reports and I
You're the creative guy,
enjoy.
right?
Yeah, I'm the creative guy. Like, why am I doing this boring stuff? But I can't be always doing just video because then I get not bored of it, but it's just like I need a break. I need to do something else because I am creative. I do like to do other things. In order to do what I do and then help a business grow, I just think is just super cool. It's just like social media is evolving. Not everybody still is with it, but like that's how you get yourself out there. Like nowadays, like it's a lot better than doing a billboard, like, and people still are like billboards. It's like those are dying. It's either streaming or it's advertising on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or Google or TikTok. So, but yeah, as I was saying, like I never thought I'd be kind of in this area. I kind of been involving in this in that past like 2 years, and I constantly am like learning about it. I mean, you have to, especially with AI and everything. You just got to keep constantly learning, but there are days, when we do struggle and stuff and maybe are down and maybe just take a break. Like people always are constantly comparing each other to everybody else online. And like, once I stop that and just in being myself, I've just been so much happier with everything really. So, yeah.
Do you think opening up, like you said kind of earlier in the beginning, like the marketing team being more involved with the sales team on the day to day helps? It just helps you grow now, right? Like it helps you be able to have the better vision of how you support the team.
Yeah. Like I can actually have full blown conversations with people now and not like be awkward about it. So as I get older, it's not always about you, and lots of people make it about them. It's about the other person. So like I always try to keep that in mind.
I think to piggyback off of what Brandon was saying, like there's just, I guess, the creativity, there's always something more that we can be doing. So like the first thing that comes to mind for me is growth, right? It's easy to, I'm a very routine, disciplined, like systematic person. So I think over this past year with the market changes and the new position and having to adjust, it's forced me to get creative and think outside of the box and just, again, become more intentional in my approach. With growth comes change, which a lot of us don't like as human beings, right? Or we're resistant to. But if we're not, like you were saying, from billboards, to now technology and ads and stuff, if we're not doing that, we're falling behind. All right. So I think I get excited with change, which isn't normal.
No.
Right. But I think it comes with the pain points of it. Right. But when you look back on that change and where we're at now and how it's helped us, right, it makes me grateful for the changes that have happened in this company and the vision and the foresight to do that.
I think for me, like the big one that I keep falling back on is own. I think like there's a lot of things that I do. They might work, they might not work, but you got to own it and you got to defend it, like why it was the best decision that we made to get a sale, or like, I know there was one, we did a change order late. It was on a cancellation to a spec. Something got selected that I wasn't aware of, but I did sign the change order. So at the end of the day, it's like, I got to own it. It's on me. I probably should have confronted that when I saw it on the change order. So it's just owning things. And I think that's where I keep going back to locked in, because like, I always feel like I could lead, and I'm always committed and keep going. Yeah, I've always done that really well too. But I think owning things a little bit more and feeling that onus of like, you made the decision, we believe in you. Just let's walk it through, right? And when I make a mistake, I know it was a mistake.
Right.
I think we're all going to make mistakes. I think it's what you do after that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're all human, guys. Mistakes are going to happen. The growth comes in how we handle the mistakes and what we do after that to just make sure maybe we don't go down that path again, right? So that's part of growth. And did you want to say what it means to you?
Going forward, the second half of the year, for me, I don't want to become a dinosaur. And I've been in this business a long time. And I have to keep learning, keep stepping outside my comfort zone, coming up with new ideas, more comfortable with technology and all the things. If not, I'm going to be behind or extinct. And I don't want that to happen. So second half, my mindset is...
It's impossible for that to happen to you. But I think we should, keep evolving. Like I remember, like you want to do an open house and you want to do a gift card for like the first 5 people in or whatever. That's a real old school thought process. But you had like 10 people at your open house. So, so like some of that old school stuff still works, and I think, if you play into it, you can even kind of rebrand it to be something new.
What's something you've done early on that you feel that has set you up for success?
You mean like in life or here?
No, here.
Early on, like
In your career,
okay.
I would say I always had a way of thinking outside the box. There's times I do things that I wouldn't always explain to people why I do them. It was probably you would always be like, why do you do that? And then you'd be like, okay, but it does work. And it started to make me feel confident in a lot of the things I did. And so I would say like just trusting my gut a little bit and understanding sometimes that I feel a certain way because probably my intuition or whatever it is, the countless hours I just look at Zillow, there's just something there. I think I always trusted my gut pretty well. And I think that has continued.
Do you feel like where you're at now and that you're empowered to be able to?
Yeah. Unfortunately, though, you got to have some data. I
Right.
can't just trust my gut all the time. So
That's why we have
that's
Jess.
what you hold me accountable for.
Discipline.
Okay.
I think one of the things at that locked in event, we had to write down something,
Yep.
right? What I wrote down is treat this as if I own the company and it's on me, right? And essentially being in sales, right? It's our community, it's our paycheck, right? So
Your
we're kind
storefront.
of, it's our, so it's our business in a way. So I think having that discipline to remain consistent, like you mentioned, Matt, through the highs and lows, through the different markets has helped in the long run for me. There's always something that we could be doing. There's always something that we can learn and grow in. So discipline throughout.
I mean, pretty much career changes practically. I mean, I was the graphic designer for a couple of years, and then I was like the marketing coordinator for a couple months, and then Katie was like, here, try video. I was like, okay. And then I just learned everything on YouTube. Loved it way more than graphic design. So I think what set me up was not doing graphic design anymore because I went to college for that. Kind of was scary to like do something completely different and then try to be good at it. So, but after like a year or two, I was pretty decent at it. So opening up my mind and not being so closed off of trying something new really helped me here.
Well, one thing I think with you is you're genuine and everything you do is like approached from your way. And I think people like that.
Thanks. Appreciate that.
I've heard a lot of themes just with you guys. So intentionals come up, quite a few, consistent, own piece of it, growth. So those are all things that have kind of resonated up through many of the different questions that we've talked about today. Tell me, like I'm trying to connect the dots back to the locked in as well as our core values, right? And with the training that we provided, the past couple of years with Phil McShan and with the Ryan Taft, and there's been opportunities for growth, right? And how much has that helped you maybe navigate some of the ups and downs? And what I mean is I've heard change a lot too. So there's been a lot of change, not just market change, okay, but change within our organization, right? And we have to change because we're an innovative company, leading to what you said, if we don't change, we're going to become dinosaurs. So there's been a pace that we've kind of been going at here for a couple years. It's enabled us to get to this point. And so do you guys have any thoughts about that? Like the training that we've put in place and some of the things that we've done to try to foster and kind of solidify our core values, but also support the team to feel empowered and continue to grow with the organization?
I'll speak from two ways on it, right? Because I did, I was a sales consultant for a while. And when you're a sales consultant and you see training and you see all these tools and programs, you get, we'll say, frustrated that you feel like it's just another thing, And then I've been on, the more corporate backside of it. And you see it as like, it's another tool for you to use to be better and for us as a company to be better. And I think that a lot of times, like, we're just trying to create the best process for everyone. And I think a lot of times there are things that we do where like, that might not have worked, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that's where you're like really good at, because you won't double down on something that it's like, it's not working, right? So we got to try a different way. And I think that that's the coolest thing, is that we're constantly trying to use all the tools that work really well for us. I know like when we had Lasso as our CRM, there was always like, well, I think our Salesforce notes have gotten increasingly better than when we were with Lasso. And I really believe that, just from the standpoint of when I go into Salesforce and I can look at someone, I feel like they're better than they were in Lasso. So I guess my big thing is it can feel overwhelming at times. Okay. But I also believe that with our leadership at hand and who we have, steering the ship, we know that. And we're trying our best to create the best tools for us as a company and for you as a sales consultant.
I think, and I've told you folks this after trainings, just thank you for investing in us. Right. I think a lot of us on certain days with all day trainings, it takes us away from the business. Right. And the work stacks up. Right. But for me, I'm always kind of reinvigorated after the training, and just it kind of gives me a better perspective on things, not only with work, but just life. Right. And Colette has done a good job of like a New Year's goal setting meeting at the beginning of the year with the sales team. So last year, my word was growth. This year, it's humility. So I think being able to kind of humble myself in the sense of, like this market is tougher. I'm not as successful as in the past, or we do need these changes or these new approaches, new systems. It's like, it's helped me be more open-minded to it, more grateful, also more content in what I'm doing in those harder months as well, and realize like it's the lows, those tough months they're not going to be there every single time, right? We've kind of, like you mentioned, Deb, like there's some months where we're doing rough and someone else is carrying the team, right? So it can quickly turn around. And again, consistency, the themes, growth, but humility has been one that has helped me kind of have a better perspective and appreciation this past year.
I think locked-ins helped us too, just to what you guys have said. Understand that what the team needs at the end of the month, right? Not just what each maybe region or office needs, and celebrating the wins when it might not have been a win for you that month, but it was a win for the company, right? And I think that's kind of, I didn't feel that a couple years ago, and I'm feeling it more and more now, as the connectivity of, we know one month the central team is going to carry us, right? And we know that, and we're good, and we're thankful, right? And then the next month it's going to be another region, and we can celebrate those successes amongst us. And I really appreciate it. That's something that I've seen kind of evolve since my time here.
I appreciate kind of the culture here, and Katie and Ben have done like a lot for me, and I don't think I would be the person I am today because of that, which is really cool. That's why I stay here and enjoy my time here. And the past couple of years of you and Jess kind of just excelling like crazy, and like giving me the opportunity to, from what I did in my side business and advertising and stuff, and then like helping here, and then just like, show us what you can do. And then I kind of just changed everything in a month. So like that was really cool to do, and be like, I'm so happy to like do this for you guys, and it's actually working. I want to keep working on it and just make it better.
I think it's funny you say that. I think a couple of you are in a different role than you've been in when I started, right? So, and what you just said about Ben and Katie and the leadership team, I think it just ties back to our core values again, right? Like, we want to invest in our people. To me, I've said this, it's people over process, right? We need processes, but our greatest asset is our people. And investing in you guys so you feel empowered to learn something new, challenge yourself, grow, take on OYL, which I don't know if you ever thought you would move into the OYL on your land side of the business, you moving into a leadership role. It just, to me, and maybe I'm wrong, but it speaks to what Ben and Katie have created, the culture of Berks, and why we all appreciate, the opportunity to work here.
It's nice to work for a company that does invest in training and stand behind their core values. It means a lot to us. Like, it's not just words, it's not just, plastered on the wall. We take it to heart. And, when times get tough, you can look at that and self-diagnose, like, how can I do better? And it's not all about you. We really are a team, and that's from, sales to marketing to site
construction.
supers.
Yep, exactly.
And it's really neat to see it. And it's neat to see everyone grow. Like even my site super this week really has, since we have Novi Home app, he really adapted that, and to see him be more helpful. And then we just had a pre-drywall yesterday, which was virtual. It's FaceTime. And of course I was there, but he took the lead and it was on his phone, not my phone. And it's just neat to see people grow, and you're always cheering for them to learn. And
Again, I think that goes back to who we are, but that goes back to what our customers see, right, too. So all of this is what I keep, I feel like sometimes I say it too much, but it's our differentiator, right? There are other builders out there that are not going to give them this level of care, relationship, really truly wanting to do right by these people. They're not a number to us. They're not a commission check. They're humans that, Ben and Katie say this a lot. I mean, they're in the business of building homes for communities and people that live in them, right? Like we're helping people improve their lives. And it all starts with, you guys doing the work. All right. Well, does anybody have anything else to say about Locked In, or how we're going to see this through to the end of the year? Is there anything you're going to really carry with you for the end of the year, or feel like you've already put everything in motion that you're trying to accomplish?
So we keep going.
Keep going.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of Locked In is it can be an array of things, but ultimately I think it's just a self accountability tool that you need to keep looking yourself in the mirror.
Yeah, for sure. I like
100%.
that.
I'm excited to reset my goals for the second half of the year, and looking forward to exceeding my goals, hopefully. And
you get to move into a community that you've been selling in the same community for how many years?
it's 6 years.
6 years.
Down to 2. So it's
Yeah.
bittersweet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Always emotional.
it is. Mm-hmm.
But you're ready for the next big leap.
Oh, absolutely.
And you're ready to take on the world in marketing, right?
For sure. Yeah.
Next year you'll be doing sales.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I do sales for my own business. So
Yeah.
that's enough.
So you're
ready.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I appreciate everybody coming in today for this and your time, and just want to stay locked in through the rest of the year. Thank
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.